big crash in the warm-up this morning. Pol Espargaro and Andrea Iannone joined the Spaniard on row 2.
Row 3, a former pole setter here, Cal Crutchlow, Jorge Lorenzo chasing his 5th successive win, and Maverick Vinales. Row 4, Andrea Dovizioso, Danilo Petrucci, and look out for Bradley Smith, the starter of all starters in MotoGP.
Top open qualifier again, Stefan Bradl in 13th, ahead of Hernandez and Loris Baz. Row 6, Scott Redding and the Avinci Ducatis of Hector Barbera and Mike DeMeglio.
Row 7, Eugene Lavely, former winner here in Superbike and Supersport, Jack Miller and Alvaro Perez. So, sun shines, peeks out from the clouds. Marquez on the front row, Aleix Espargaro on the front row, Rossi in pole position for the first time this season. The Dutch TT, we're in Assen and we are underway.
It was a great start from pole position by Valentino Rossi, just what the Italian wanted. Aleix Espargaro got away pretty well too. Look at Pol Espargaro on the inside, but it's Rossi that leads the way from Pol Espargaro on the Suzuki. Marquez in third, Lorenzo really aggressive up to 5th place already, but Rossi got the start he wanted.
What a start by Valentino Rossi from pole position. Round turn 3 and 4 coming up towards the Struben corner. Qualifying and practice has been the problem. He can run the pace. And Marquez up into 2nd place.
Keep an eye on Jorge Lorenzo though. He got a great jump from the 3rd row of the grid. The number 99 already up into 5th place. It's Rossi that leads from Marquez. Pol Espargaro up the inside of his older brother Aleix. Aleix having none of that at all. Pol Espargaro though does move up into 3rd place. It's Jorge Lorenzo right behind. Aleix Espargaro surrenders another place. He's back down to 5th.
Well, Lorenzo is absolutely charging. He's always aggressive on that first lap, and it's usually to get to the front. He can't get to the front this time around. Down towards the far end of the circuit, down towards Mandaven. It's Rossi that's just hanging in there, but Lorenzo is making progress every single metre of this track. Lorenzo already said a podium finish would be fantastic after everything that's happened to us. Rossi could say, as long as he finishes in front of Jorge Lorenzo, that's all that matters. But there's a bit more to this than this. Here comes Marquez. Marquez up the inside. Marquez leads for the first time. Can he make it stick? Rossi tries to fight back, but Marquez now leads the way.
Start of lap 20. We wondered when Marquez was going to show his hand. Well, there you go, on the braking zone into the first corner. I was just going to say, as they crossed the line, the gap between Rossi and Marquez was down to just 7/100ths of a second. Marquez got brilliant drive out of the final chicane. He pulled out of Rossi's slipstream on the brakes into the first corner. Now, can Valentino Rossi respond? This is the first time we've seen Marquez make the running at the front. 6.5 laps to go.
We ride with Rossi. Marquez at the front, down into the Steckenwald corner. Rossi not quite close enough. Little short straight. Run it over the curb and then into the left-hander at De Bolt. Rossi closing all the time. Rossi is so strong through this 4th sector, but brilliant manoeuvre by Marquez. He knew that he couldn't take Rossi in the chicane, but he lines him up beautifully coming out of the chicane, and he just has the pace. But back at the front, Rossi closing all the time. These next 2 laps are going to tell us an awful lot.
It was actually just the tiniest of mistakes by Valentino Rossi coming out of that final chicane. He just cut over the AstroTurf on the inside of the curb, and he would have just lost crucial drive as he came out of the chicane. Here we are, this is on the last lap, where Valentino Rossi just made a fraction of a mistake. That was all Marquez needed to sweep by on the brakes down into this hard block corner, down into the first corner. Marquez now just putting about, what, 6 or 7 bike lengths between himself and Valentino Rossi. Rossi claws it all the way back, though, through the Medyke second corner. This race not over by any stretch of the imagination. Rossi piling on the pressure as they come down to the Struben.
Through the Struben corner they come onto the Wienslang. One of the most famous bends in the old days, that banked hairpin. And they're doing it proud, aren't they? Marquez and Rossi, the world champion and the championship leader. On board with Valentino Rossi. 30 years anniversary of on-board cameras here at Assen. Freddie Spencer and Randy Mamola had on-board cameras. Rossi is not letting him get away.
This is down at the De Bolt corner. Valentino Rossi now glued to the back wheel of Marquez. We're coming up to the 4th sector. Moving Mir, Holger Heider and Ramschuk, as we said before. Now, this is where Valentino Rossi's been really strong all throughout the weekend. He can almost reach out and touch Marquez's back wheel. Great onboard shots here. It's Repsol Honda versus Movistar Yamaha. Marquez versus Rossi.
Up through the left-hander. Rossi fast through here. Marquez just that little bit in front as they come to the chicane. Rossi can't come from that far back. Little bit of a wiggle of the rear wheel, though, from the Repsol Honda of Marquez as he breaks for the chicane. Over the line they go. 5 laps to go. Just a 1/10 of a second separating. And into turn 1. This is where he took the lead, Marquez, from Rossi a couple of laps ago. And a lonely old ride for Jorge Lorenzo in 3rd place. And Andrea Iannone, equally lonely ride for him in 4th.
Yeah, And here's this big group battling for 5th place. It's still Cal Crutchlow that leads the way from Pal Espargaro. Pedrosa 7th, Dovizioso 8th, Bradley Smith 9th, and Aleith Espargaro in 10th place. Back with the leading duo, Marc Marquez and Valentino Rossi. What a duel it's been so far here in Assen. Nothing between the lap times. Previous lap, 1:33.617. That's Marquez's best lap of the race. Just a tenth of a second or less quicker than Valentino Rossi. The last lap, hardly anything between them yet again. And as you can see, the last lap, nothing between their best laps of the race so far. In fact, Rossi's last lap, absolutely flying.
Down at Manderven, Grieger's Loop, there is 4.5 laps to go. Rossi will close up through this 4th sector. He's done it absolutely every single time when he's been behind him, and has opened up a bit of advantage when he's been in front of him. They race through Hoga Heider, and now up to the left-hander at Rumshop. Is Rossi close enough? We ride with Rossi. Is he lining him up at the chicane on the brakes? Ooh, no way he was going to get through that time round.
Marquez and Rossi over the line now. You can feel the tension in the grandstands. Just over 1/10 of a second splitting the two of them. Now, this is the phase of the race last year where the Honda had the advantage. When it came down to the last 3 or 4 laps, the Honda had kept the better grip. Now, that was an area that Yamaha really worked on during the winter. And Valentino Rossi talked about the new chassis this weekend, giving him better grip, particularly after 20 laps. And Rossi not being dropped off at all. So this new chassis, better for agility and also better for tyre endurance.
Down for the Vinslang they come. Just over 4.5 laps to go. Then for the Ruskin Holt. Rossi will try and close here and try to use that advantage when he comes to that vital 4th sector. Marquez leads away. He's been there for the last 4 laps. Race winner here last year in very different conditions in a very, very different race. Through Steckenwald, down towards the default corner. The left-hander. Rossi closes up once again on the brakes. Well, like Marquez, we said he's going to have one go. Without a doubt, I'm sure Rossi's going to have one go. Sense would tell him he's in front of Lorenzo. That's what matters in the championship. He wants to beat Marc Marquez in a straight head-to-head. Their real first straight head-to-head for a win this season.
Here we are on board with Valentino Rossi. Closes right up on Marquez again now into the Ramshook corner. 4th gear, almost 190 kilometres now. Knee on the floor. Down the brakes, the fast again. All thought Rossi was having a look up the inside.
I thought he was going then. He decided not to. But he lined him up, didn't he?
3 laps to go. Marc Marquez leading from Valentino Rossi. It's been one of the great battles between the two of them since Marquez came to the Premier Class in 2013. Jorge Lorenzo over the line in a very lonely 3rd place. It's all about these two men now. Marquez and Rossi. Pal Espargaro now has got to the front of this group. Crutchlow's dropped back 2 places. Whether there was a mistake on that lap by Cal Crutchlow, but he's back in 7th place. Rossi right on the back wheel again of Marc Marquez.
Down through the Vinslang they come. 3 but 2.5 laps to go. Rossi is close through here as we see. Just a little wobble from the front end of the Yamaha. But they're safely through the Ruskin Holt down towards Steckenwald.
Marc Marquez, we know he's great riding under intense pressure, trying to drag himself out of the doldrums. Back-to-back crashes in Mugello and Barcelona have really put a massive hole in his bid to win a 3rd straight. What's on? Here comes Rossi on the inside! Valentino Rossi has got up the inside of Marc Marquez to take the lead back. Marquez responds immediately. This is up at turn 11. Rossi still holds the lead. The crowd going wild here in Assen.
97,000 people are on their feet. MotoGP at its very best. The 36-year-old Italian leads the way again, but don't think that is gonna last. He's being lined up by Marquez. Rossi breaks as late as he can. Everybody in the grandstand opposite us is on their feet. 2 laps to go. Rossi leads the way.
2 laps to go. It's Valentino Rossi by almost 3/10 of a second from Marc Marquez. Rossi trying to win for the 3rd time. He's already putting a bit of a gap between himself and Marc Marquez. Has Rossi got his tactics absolutely bang on? This is down into the bolt left-hander. Rossi got really close to Marquez now, and on the braking zone to Manderveen. Up the inside goes Valentino Rossi. Marquez tries to fight back. That's what the crowd here thought of it. 97,000 fans, and Rossi has put, what, half a second now between himself and Marc Marquez. Valentino Rossi aiming for an 8th victory here in Assen.
Rossi through the Vinslang, down towards the Ruskin Holt, now down towards Steckenwald. This is where he was lining up Marquez when they came into the bolt corner. Marquez fought back. He actually got back in front, I think. But Rossi just rode round the outside of him and would not give way. 1.5 laps to go. Absolutely classic racing at this legendary venue. We've seen some great races here in the last 85 years. This is as good as any of them. But you know, I reckon Rossi may have broken Marquez.
Here's the old maestro calling the tune yet again. Valentino Rossi. Alex DeAngelis has crashed out further down the field. Here is Rossi. Clear daylight between himself and Marc Marquez. We're coming down into the final chicane on the penultimate lap. You can hear the crowd going absolutely wild in the background. Rossi about to start the final lap. The gap between Rossi and Marquez as they cross the line, almost half a second. Rossi just at his personal best lap of the race. He's got the hammer down here in Holland.
What a ride by Valentino Rossi. Jorge Lorenzo will pick up those 16 points in third place, but he won't make the headlines this time round. Classic duel at the front, and Rossi is getting away. 36 years old, 9 times world champion, chasing his 9th victory here at Assen. You've never seen him ride better than he's ridden this afternoon.
And this has got to be the first time that Valentino Rossi's really got the better of Marc Marquez in a straight shootout for the win. Marquez, he's not giving up without a fight, though. We know he's a real warrior. He's the Repsol Honda rider. He's closed the gap right up now on Valentino Rossi's back down to just under 3/10 of a second. Down into the bolt. Marquez really, really close now. Rossi under real pressure. This is going to be all about the final chicane.
It certainly is, just when we thought it was over. He's not a double MotoGP World Championship champion for nothing. Marquez now closes up on Rossi. Rossi is particularly so quick through these corners, up through the high to this vital Rumshark left-hander. Rossi still leads the way. Has Marquez got anything left? He is going to come late as they come into the chicane.
There's going to be a lunge. There'll be a lunge for Marquez. He's up the inside of Rossi. Oh, Rossi just holds firm. Rossi's through the gravel. Rossi's going to win the race. Valentino Rossi wins the Dutch TT. What a dramatic finale. Marquez second. Rossi is the winner.
Oh, what a ride by Valentino Rossi. Jorge Lorenzo in third place. That is as good as it comes. We can't believe that he got back at him, Marc Marquez. Rossi would not let him through. Thank you, Assen. Thank you, Valentino Rossi. Right, let's have a look at this one. Paul Espargaro 5th, 6th Crutchlow, 7th Smith, 8th Pedrosa, 9th Aleix Espargaro, 10th Vinales, 11th, Danilo Petrucci. Let's have a look at this again. Marquez coming up the inside. Rossi doesn't want to let him through. His nose is coming. He pulls across. Rossi runs across the gravel. Marquez is forced wide. Rossi crosses the line in first place.
You knew Marc Marquez was going to have a lunge up the inside. He started this last lap half a second behind Valentino Rossi. You could just see there Marquez was up the inside. Valentino Rossi through the gravel. This is going to be a great on-board. Wow, that was close. There's Rossi through the gravel. He's now having a look over his shoulder to see where Marc Marquez is. Marquez finished in second place. Well, that was roles reversed from 2006. It was Repsol Honda and Nicky Hayden that came out on top of factory Honda against Colin Edwards. But what else can you say about Valentino Rossi? That's got to be, well, he said his victories in Qatar and Argentina were 2 of the best in his career. Where's he going to rank that one?
I don't know, and full marks to Marc Marquez. I thought he was dead and buried on that last lap of the race, but he still found it. I think nearly anybody else at Valentino Rossi, he would not have got through. Got through, he did. But Rossi then just ran it. Well, lucky in some ways, he didn't go through when he went through the gravel. There you are, first pole victory from pole position since the San Marino Grand Prix in Misano in 2009.
Think he enjoyed that one?
I think he enjoyed that one. Look, 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 he is just one of his greatest ever Grand Prix victories. Assen celebrates its 85th Grand Prix celebrations. Well, it doesn't get any better than that one. A classic encounter between Rossi and Marquez. Let's have a look at it again.
Oh yeah, there was a nudge there. You could see Marc Marquez, both tyres sliding as he got into the brakes.
And Rossi hold it in through the gravel there.
And look at Rossi now, he's going to flick a look to the right. He knows now that he's won for the 111th time in his Grand Prix career. It was Marc Marquez. He had the front wheel and the rear wheel sliding as he tried to get up the inside of Marc Marquez. That's what it means to Yamaha, as we said at the start of the programme. That's a 6th straight win for the Japanese manufacturer. The first time they've ever achieved that in Grand Prix history. And there is Valentino Rossi, quite rightly taking all the plaudits. As we said, that is his 85th MotoGP victory, the 111th of his Grand Prix career, and it's hard to think for too many better. A consolation prize for Jorge Lorenzo in third place. He was never in contention for that victory. Another great top 5 finish by Andrea Iannone.
Yeah, well done, Andrea Iannone. Well, that's 4th place for 2 races running, and as we were saying, it's showing real maturity, isn't it, for Andrea Iannone? He ran alone for most of that race, but this afternoon will only be about one thing. It will only be talked about for many, many years to come. It's one of those we were there moments, wasn't it? What a race between Rossi and Marc Marquez. And here he is, number 46. He's 36 years old. Look at this coming into the chicane. They do touch. Now nudges him over the gravel. Somehow he hangs onto the bike. Marquez gets pushed that little bit wide. And Rossi wins. Oh, Alex Marquez is not happy about that. What have you done to my brother?
I think they thought he was going to probably go up the inside and win the race, but you've got to be a tough cookie to beat that man. His third win of the season for Valentino Rossi. 10 points clear now of Jorge Lorenzo. Lorenzo brought crashing back down to earth with a bump after the best winning form of his career. There is
Marc Marquez. Absolutely brilliant ride by Marquez. I think both of them have got to take the credit. That was a battle of the Titans, was it? That was a head-to-head that you rarely see better than that. Two great riders at their very, very best.
Yeah, it only takes two people to make a race, and that was one of the best we've seen for many a year. That's where all the drama happened. We said it was going to come down to the final chicane. We thought Marquez might have been out of it.
Let's ride with Marquez. They touch there. Rossi does brilliantly to hang on to the Yamaha because a real dust comes up when his back wheel actually gets into the gravel. Look at the crowd. 30. Who wouldn't celebrate a race like that?
Yeah, just 30 years of onboard cameras, and what a shot to catch Marc Marquez lunging up the inside of Valentino Rossi. This is probably the slowest in-lap Rossi's ever done. He's milking this victory because, and why not?
I'm sure Marquez is disappointed, but he played a massive part in that race. And Honda are back and he's back, but 36 years old, his 9th victory here in Assen. And this is what the crowd think of Valentino Rossi. Any other sport in the world would die for this man, wouldn't they?
He just keeps producing the magic performances, and just when you think Valentino Rossi, when he left Ducati and came back to Yamaha, a lot of people wrote him off. Of course, it was here in 2013 when he took his first victory since those difficult 2 years at Ducati. Yellow flares going off in the background.